guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Larki. I make lifestyle and true crime videos. If you're not, welcome back and thank you so much for joining me for another video. Today's video is a true crime case on the disappearance of Jaliek Rainwalker. Let's get right into it. This is a really heartbreaking case. Jaliek had a very short and sad life. He was born on August 2nd, 1995 in Albany, New York, and his mother was addicted to drugs and alcohol. She actually consumed crack cocaine throughout her pregnancy, so this did affect Jaliek. He suffered from severe emotional problems and he had frequent violent outbursts in his childhood. He was placed in foster care immediately after his birth, and he bounced from foster home to foster home pretty much all his life. He lived in a total of 6 foster homes. At the age of 3, he found some stability when he was placed in the care of Jody and Larry Schoen. The Schoen said Jaliek was a very intelligent child. He loved to run, play soccer, and read, and he absolutely loved dinosaurs. But unfortunately, because of his issues, he was a very troubled child. Jaliek spent 4 years with the Schoens, and they really grew to be a family. They were planning on adopting Jaliek up until Jaliek attacked their daughter at the age of 7 from one of his violent outbursts, and following this, they decided that it would be best if Jaliek was rehomed. Jaliek was then placed in the care of Jocelyn McDonald and Stephen Kerr. They had 4 other children, 3 biological sons and 1 adopted daughter, and the kids were all between the ages of 8 and 14 when Jaliek disappeared, so they were all pretty similar in age. McDonald and Kerr claimed to be environmentalists, so they led a non-traditional lifestyle. They lived in a rural area of Washington County, New York. The home had no running water, the toilets were outhouses, and the only source of electricity came from a generator that they would run for a few hours during the day. Everyone in the family slept in the same room together, and the children were all homeschooled. When I read into this case, and I read this part in particular, that kind of caught me off guard because to my understanding, I have some family members who are foster parents, and I know that the social workers go to the house and they approve the house and make sure that like everything is in livable condition. So it kind of made me wonder how they were approved to be foster parents, but at the same time, I don't want to sound ignorant and say that like if you live that type of lifestyle, you shouldn't be a foster parent. But given that their lifestyle was completely different than what would be considered normal. But anyway, McDonald and Kerr were approved to be foster parents, and after a few years with Jaliek, they decided to adopt him so that he would be an official member of their family. By the time Jaliek disappeared, he had been in their care for 3 years. It seemed like Jaliek had finally found a family and a forever home, but things were still rocky. Jaliek was still struggling with his violent outbursts, and it got to the point where his other siblings were allegedly scared of him. Despite this, Jaliek hadn't been receiving any therapy or psychiatric drugs to manage his condition. Looking into cases like this, it's pretty easy to wonder like what if this had happened or what if that had happened. But in this case in particular, I personally feel like if Jaliek had had the proper care and attention, maybe the circumstances would have been different at the time of his disappearance, or maybe things wouldn't have led up to that point. Jaliek had an incident with one of the children in his homeschool group, and he essentially threatened the other child. After the incident, Jocelyn said that she no longer wanted Jaliek to stay with them because she didn't think it was safe. On October 23rd, 2007, Stephen Kerr dialed a crisis hotline stating that Jaliek was unmanageable and him and Jocelyn McDonald wanted to reverse the adoption. The hotline representative on the other line said that this wouldn't be possible, but suggested that they look into respite care. Now, respite care, from my understanding, is essentially when you get like temporary help caring for a person. So typically that person goes like somewhere else to like another home or something like that for a short period of time to kind of like give you a break, essentially. Jaliek was sent to the home of Elaine and Tom Person, who were foster parents he had stayed with in the past for respite care. Jaliek stayed with them in their home near Albany, New York for about a week or so. On November 1st, 2007, the Persons and Stephen Kerr made arrangements to meet up so that Stephen could pick up Jaliek. Stephen Kerr picked up Jaliek that evening, and they were later seen having dinner at the Red Robin in Latham, New York. They then spent the night at Kerr's parents' home in Greenwich, New York, and they were ready for bed at around 9 o'clock. There was no one else at the home besides Kerr and Jaliek, and this was because McDonald and the other children were at their family home a few miles away in East Greenwich. And McDonald and Kerr had actually planned on sending Jaliek to another respite home the very next day. According to Kerr, when he woke up on the morning of November 2nd, Jaliek was gone. He woke up at around 7:30, and when he went to look around for Jaliek, he was nowhere to be found, and the bed where he was sleeping in was stuffed with clothes and pillows under the bed sheets. Jaleek had also allegedly left behind a note that read, "Dear everybody, I'm sorry for everything. I won't be a bother anymore. Goodbye, Jaleek." So keep in mind, Stephen Kerr claims that he woke up at 7:30 and found that Jaleek was missing. He didn't actually report Jaleek missing to the authorities until 8:57 that morning. Kerr reported that Jaleek was wearing a pair of jeans, a gray shirt with a dragon on it, and a bright fleece yellow pullover. This fleece became an important item in the investigation. It kind of became symbolic with the case. Police immediately got involved and began an extensive search of the area, but couldn't find any signs of Jaleek. Right off the bat, there were some doubts about the note left behind. You see, the persons told police that they believed that the note had been part of Jaleek's homework. They remembered that while Jaleek was staying with them, Jaleek had an assignment in which he had to write an apology letter to the child that he had threatened at school. And although they didn't read the letter, they remembered him working on it while he was staying with them the week before he went missing. And this kind of raised some eyebrows amongst the police, as well as Barbara Rayleigh, who is Jocelyn McDonald's mother. However, Stephen Kerr and Jocelyn McDonald had a theory of their own. Because of the note, they were sold on the fact that Jaleek had to have run away, and they weren't really open to any other theories or possibilities. Within a few days, police were leaning towards the theory that Jaleek had met with foul play, and this is because they believed it was unlikely for a child Jaleek's age to survive on their own. Investigators continued to conduct searches, and the investigation quickly turned to Kerr and McDonald. According to Kerr, on the night of Jaleek's disappearance, he picked up Jaleek, they had dinner, and then they headed straight home. But police checked his cell phone records as well as surveillance footage in the area and found that there were inconsistencies in the findings and Kerr's story. The cell phone records showed that his phone pinged in a different area than the route he told police he took home. Not only that, but they also found surveillance video from the Glens Falls National Bank in Greenwich at 12:16 in the morning on the morning of November 2nd. It showed a golden van driving through, and this van looked very similar to the Chrysler minivan that belonged to Stephen Kerr's father. And if you remember, on that night, Jaleek and Stephen Kerr stayed at Kerr's parents' house. Police immediately wanted to take a closer look at the van, but the Kerrs denied them access to it, and they also asked McDonald and Kerr to take a polygraph test, to which McDonald accepted, but Kerr refused to come in to do. Because of this, police named Kerr an official person of interest in the case. Stephen Kerr and Jocelyn McDonald hired a lawyer, and just 4 months after Jaleek's disappearance, the couple and their children relocated to West Rupert, Vermont. Barbara Rayleigh, McDonald's mom, has publicly stated that she believes that her daughter and son-in-law have more information regarding Jaleek's disappearance than they have told police. And this is kind of the general consensus that people have surrounding this case. Given how they were behaving right after their son's disappearance, it's not that shocking to believe. I mean, right after their son disappeared, they were stuck on the fact that he ran away. They didn't want to take a polygraph test, didn't want to let police take a look at their van, moved completely out of the area, and they haven't talked to police since then. In 2012, police came out with a statement saying that they presumed Jaleek to be dead and reclassified the case to a possible homicide. Kerr and McDonald maintain that they believe Jaleek ran away, and they have not spoken to police in years or even spoken publicly about Jaleek's disappearance. It's kind of like a known fact that they don't even speak about Jaleek within the family. The only people still keeping Jaleek's investigation active are the persons and Barbara Rayleigh, Jaleek's adoptive grandmother. Barbara actually reaches out to police every few weeks to try to get any updates on Jaleek's disappearance that have come up, and she has not spoken to her daughter or son-in-law since the days after Jaleek's disappearance. For more information on Jaleek's disappearance, I'll make sure to include more information down below. And if you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one.